Welcome to the MacArthur Foundation's DIF, the online festival of ideas designed to shift mindsets and inspire action towards a circular economy. My name is Colin and I am the host of this session. Now, I think we're all aware of the plastic problem. We are surrounded by, in particular, single-use plastics. What if we could switch out these single-use plastics for something else, an alternative that's made of agricultural waste? Well, it's not just a fanciful idea, it's actually a reality. And I'm joined today by Ria, who runs a company called Ecoware, who's doing precisely that. Now, Ria, the last couple of years in particular has been this explosion of interest in plastics or backlash against them. How has that period worked out for you, given what you do?
Morning, Colin. I feel like the last 2 years have been absolutely amazing. The level of awareness we've seen increase considerably. When I've been on this journey now for 10 years, and when I started 10 years ago, when I founded Ecoware in India, and no one understood what it meant for a product to be biodegradable, what it meant for a product to be compostable. And to sort of start from there to what we've seen, build up now, we've seen consumer mindsets shift. Instead of us trying to convince people, we're seeing a lot more inbound inquiries now. And the conversations have changed. They're no longer about, oh, this is too expensive. It's more about, can you brand this for us? Can you customize this for us? Like, how quickly can you get this to us? So I'm really excited. I mean, I think single-use plastic, single-use plastic is a global problem. And, we really want to be that global solution. But saying that, I mean, just even in India, we are 1.3 billion people. So we still have our work cut out for us.
Could you tell us a little bit about exactly what it is you produce then? I'll show a few images while you're telling us.
Sure. So very simply, we are India's first and largest sustainable packaging company. And what we do is really simple. We take agricultural waste, so typically wheat, rice, sugarcane, and through a really simple thermoforming process, we turn it into disposable packaging for the food and beverage industry, and which is 100% natural, it's compostable, and it's biodegradable. And that's all certified.
Are you saying packaging?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
So that's really in a nutshell what we do. And obviously, the goal and the vision is that we displace as much single-use plastic and styrofoam as possible.
We're seeing some examples of it just now as you're speaking. So it's quite a wide range of products that you produce.
Yeah.
And the one thing that really fascinated me when we spoke about this last week was the fact that this is home compostable. You can actually throw this away and it will safely biodegrade. Is that right?
Yes. So once you put it in soil, it will come in contact with soil in 90 days. Once it comes in contact with soil, it biodegrades in 90 days. And that was really important because we live in India, we don't have formal waste segregation systems, right? So it was really important to create a closed loop solution and not just a false eco-friendly alternative.
Could you tell us then, that you've told us that the customer reaction has changed, that people didn't know terms like biodegradable, and now it's the talk of the town. What's created that shift, do you think?
So I mean, personally for us, we've spent a lot of time creating social awareness, right? We've worked with schools, with hospitals, with cancer support groups and just kind of raised that level of awareness about, the fact that you shouldn't be using single-use plastic. And that's not just for the environment, but for the impact it has on your body as well. So we've spent a fair part of our journey doing that. And I think also what we've seen in the last 2 to 3 years is, the conversations around climate change pick up. Now, we all know that we live in a resource constrained world. And I think pollution of any kind, it's all interlinked, right? I mean, so from Sir David Attenborough and the programs that you see on TV or just the images that you see in the media. So we're seeing, they've kind of really they stick in your mind, like the seahorse and the earbud, or like our marine life, and how when you sort of cut open their tummies, all the plastic that you find in it. And I think also that we live in a superbly connected world at the moment. There is absolutely no news that won't reach you. It's not like 15 years ago, sort of, when you waited for your morning paper to kind of keep abreast with what's happening in the world. Things are a lot more instant now. So I think that's basically why we're seeing just a lot more awareness go up, and people make better choices.
Can you tell us about the process you went through to produce the material? Because I've actually seen many organizations who make something that can be industrially composted. What's special about the product that you've created that means you can just simply put it in the home composting or throw it into the natural environment and it will safely degrade?
Well, because it's very simply, Colin, it's made from agri waste, right? And we don't add anything to it. So there is nothing artificial that needs to be broken down. It just goes straight back into nature or earth, and that's what sort of triggers the whole process of of biodegrading.
How do people react to the idea that this is coming from agricultural waste? Is there what do your users say about this, about the feedstock that you use?
So I think because we haven't had too much of sort of feedback on that aspect. I think the consumer feedback we've had is that it's a sturdy product, it's a strong product. They're really excited because it sustains a temperature range from -20 to 180 degrees. So you could put it in the fridge, you could microwave it, you could bake in it. So they're excited about a superior alternative, basically.
And one of the things that excites me is the volume of production here. I think you produced 125 million pieces of tableware this year alone, which is significant. But moving into a more sort of systemic perspective, the fact that you're not just replacing one problematic material with something else that could equally be problematic, you're solving a problem for a lot of farmers by taking their agricultural waste. Yeah.
So typically, our feedstock is used as animal fodder or like burnt, and it's causing a considerable amount of air pollution right now in New Delhi. And so the idea is to kind of incentivize the farmer not to burn, or and give him more value for this, basically. So that's the whole social impact sort of thing, is that we don't want to, and it kind of brings back the whole circular economy model as well. We want to reuse as much as possible, and just give value to waste.
So this waste is by and large being burned by farmers, which causes an air pollution issue, of course.
Yeah.
You're turning it into a valuable income stream for the farmers, or you're taking away the problem for them. Either way, you're solving a problem for farmers.
Correct.
And obviously producing a product which replaces single-use plastic.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Could you tell us, though, are there any limits to this approach?
How do you mean?
Well, is there always going to be enough healthy feedstock to replace single-use plastics? Are you close to hitting some sort of ceiling in the fact that you produce 125 million units just now? Or is there enough agricultural waste out there to grow many times over?
So I think that when you look at this sort of plastics, the single-use plastic problem, I think that, I'm really excited that we've done 125 million pieces, but I still feel it's a bit of a, when you look at sort of a whale shark and a tiny Nemo, it's that kind of situation, because we're still, we still, like I said, got our work cut out for us. There's a lot more that we need to do and a lot more that we need to displace. And India being a biomass rich nation, there are other similar countries as well. So I don't think feedstock is an issue at all. What we're doing right now is fairly small in the entire universe. We're a speck in the universe at the moment. And it's not just that. I think even when, we keep innovating. So we started with one type of feedstock 10 years ago. And the idea is to always kind of see what more it is that we can use. So we actively commit resources to R&D, be it, manpower or our material scientists, etc., to see what it is that we can do next.
So let's step back 10 years since you said that's how long you've been working here. Can you tell us how you got started in all of this, Ria?
Sure. So I'm actually a pharmacologist. I used to work for Pfizer in the UK. I worked for them for about 5 years, and I thought, right, okay, enough's enough. Let's just, let's do something a little bit more impactful, which is when I moved to India, and I found the single-use plastics issue just absolutely dreadful. It was archaic that we threw all our waste in one dustbin, that we have no waste segregation, and the fact that people were just freely using, single-use plastic without even batting an eyelid about the impact that it has on their health. We're aware of the impact that it has on the environment, but it was pretty disturbing to see, because I think as a pharmacologist, I certainly learned that you don't put hot food in plastic. Where there's diseases, where disease is concerned, there are risk factors you can control and that you can't. And there's more and more clinical evidence to show that when you put hot food in a plastic plate, it melts and leaches toxins, and that's what causes all sorts of things in your body. So I wanted to change something, so we kind of, in about May 2009, I started this journey, and I thought, okay, what is it that we can do? Having used similar products when I lived in the UK, and India being a biomass rich nation, I kind of played around with different types of feedstock in terms of what products I wanted to start with. I went into the markets and I literally found 5 of the most popular plastic products and decided, let's replace them. We commissioned our first unit in March 2010. And, the largest client we had that year was the Commonwealth Games, which was a great launching pad for the company. And it also gave, me a lot of confidence, thinking, okay, there is a future in this. And even though we started as a bit of an experiment, about 3 years in, we discovered that we created a demand that we couldn't keep up with. And this was no longer an experiment, but there was an absolute future in this, and we've just never looked back on it, basically.
And was this demand coming from within India, or did you quickly go multinational?
No, up to about our focus has been India. We wanted to create a solution for a local solution for a local problem. But obviously now we've reached scale. Our export revenue channel has increased. We're doing a lot more globally. And I think there's just a lot more awareness as well that, like I said, single-use plastic is a global problem, and it's something that we need to tackle. So now we're seeing things more of a global perspective. But India does remain quite a large market for us still.
And you said from the outset that 10 years ago, people didn't really understand terms like biodegradable. So does that mean that some of the early conversations you had with potential customers, with clients, were problematic?
I wouldn't say problematic. They were certainly challenging, because, of course, I had to convince generational traders that they should stop selling something that they know and start selling something that they don't know. So it certainly was challenging. And, also the fact that I was 29 years old, I was a woman, and my Hindi wasn't exactly fantastic, but that didn't stop me. I worked with a lot of people at the time, and And I think they started realizing that not only, that eventually plastics is a material that's going to get banned. They certainly earn more when you work with Ecoware and a product such as Ecoware, and also the fact that this is the future, right? So I may as well start making. So there was a positive response, a small one, but there was, and then we started kind of working with. So we sort of built our partnerships and started working with clients, and just and kind of grew from there and kept growing our channels.
Okay, Ria, let me just tell the folks watching this at home that they can send in their thoughts, comments, and questions on the page they're watching this on, or they can use the hashtag ThinkDiff on Twitter, or perhaps you're watching, no, you won't be watching this one on Facebook, maybe someday. But do put in your thoughts and questions, and the folks here will make sure that they come through to me. And also to say that there's so many events going on at the Diff this week. This is day 3 of a 5-day series where we've got at least 10 sessions every single day featuring entrepreneurs like Ria here, featuring big companies and big ideas. So do delve into the whole schedule at Think Diff. But Ria, let's come back to you, because one thing that really impressed me when we had our conversation last week was your ambitions for the social and environmental impact that your company Ecoware has had. Can you tell the viewers a little bit about that?
Sure. We've created threefold impact in the last 10 years, and that's something I'm really proud of, because from a social perspective, we've got, we've created an industry that didn't exist before. So we've created employment, be it direct employment or indirect employment. I mean, our team currently is over 100 people, of which 35% are women. And we continuously look to work on those numbers. We've improved livelihoods from that perspective, and as well, like I said, about the farmer, the feedstock, encouraging them not to burn, and giving them value to something that had no value previously. And even when you look at our business partners and our sort of our distributors and that network, they obviously, again, it's a better livelihood, because they're not just doing a better thing, but they're involved with this purpose to what they're doing as well. And it is economically beneficial. From an investment perspective, 100% of our revenue is derived from a circular economy model, which is, again, something I'm super proud of. We've created a backyard compostable product, it doesn't get easier than this. And, and like I said, we're displacing just this year 125 million pieces of single-use plastic. And lastly, from a health perspective, it's very simple. If you reduce your exposure to plastic, you reduce your risk of disease. That's just it from that, from at that end.
So a whole load of economic, environmental, social benefits. What's not to like? Sounds fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, we saw pictures of tableware, but I know there's the potential to diversify. Can you tell us what strides you've been making in Ecoware?
So we started with tableware. I felt like it was low-hanging fruit, and it was the easiest way to kind of reach a consumer. But now we're looking at different applications. So we're looking at how we can support, for instance, the e-commerce industry. I mean, just remember the last time you ordered something off Amazon or just any of these guys, and the amount of plastic that it comes in. So how can we work with them? What is it that we can do to support, provide? We're looking at even sort of just, the large scale, much larger companies about how we can work on their outer casings, be it sort of, boxes that your chocolates come in, or the next time you order furniture. So we're just constantly looking at different applications.
We started off by talking about the shift away from plastics. What's your feeling about the pace at which we're moving away from single-use plastics? Do you think things are going at a pace you're comfortable with? No,
I think we need to move quicker. Very honestly, like I said, I still feel like it's a sort of a Nemo and a whale shark situation. I think that, when you look at the larger perspective, climate change, right? Everyone knows we're running out of time. It's not that we've got time on our hands here. And So I think that there's a lot more that we can do. I think there's things that we need to do quicker. I challenge the larger companies, the FMCG companies, when you're looking at sort of setting your goals, and you talk about phasing out plastic straws in the next 5 years or something. I feel like they need to be closer goals. I don't think they need to be so far-fetched. What is it that you're doing in the next 6 months, 1 year, 12 months, 18 months? Because we don't want to wake up 5 years later and just go, oh, actually, we haven't achieved anything. So I think if anyone's really serious about their commitment, they need to set shorter term goals. We need to act a lot quicker. I don't think we're acting quick enough.
So what would be your advice then to any CEO who might happen to be watching this, Ria?
My question to a CEO is constantly, are you ready for your next consumer? What is the growth path of your company? I have these conversations every day where I'm just like, your next consumer, right now I feel like it's still a bit of a mixed bag, but your next consumer, look at the next 5 years minimum. Your new consumer is going to be the Greta Thunbergs of the world. They know absolutely everything. They're not going to accept any greenwash whatsoever, and they are a superbly connected, and they're superbly connected. So, are you ready for that consumer? Because they're not going to buy something that's not sustainable.
Right. There's no hiding place, isn't there, from the news? I mean, you were quoting the David Attenborough. Everyone quotes the David Attenborough moment. And I guess sometimes here in the UK, we maybe get surprised by that, but it has this worldwide reach and the shock that it created.
No, it completely. And it's amazing because it started this wave, because, so David Attenborough is obviously quite a well-known personality, right? So suddenly it was the impact of his work it was amazing, because you suddenly got media involved. You see stuff on print or social media, and just it created this immense amount of awareness that I feel that we were completely lacking. I've got 2 kids who are 6 and 8, and they're absolutely addicted. And all it takes me, Colin, is to say that, we're not doing this because it's not good enough for the planet. It's not good for the planet, sorry. And no questions asked.
Okay. So the solution to the climate problem is presumably partly down to how we design products and systems. And obviously that's something that you are actively doing at Ecoware. It's presumably also partly down to people shifting their behaviors in the way you've just described. Does Ecoware get involved in helping people to shift behaviors?
So we're constantly trying to push our consumers to move from rampant consumerism to more conscious consumerism. I feel that, especially in India, when I think about my grandparents, and at least 20 years ago, we've been a very frugal society. We've reused, used, and try to create minimum waste as possible. But that changed, obviously, because there was an increase in disposable income. There was, suddenly an abundance of things, and it was just so easily available. And I really feel that we need to go back to that way. We need to think twice about buying, about using, about what it is that we can reuse. That's the message that we drive as much as possible. Yes, Ecoware is a solution to single-use plastic, but the answer is the thing is that use it if you have to, but obviously if you don't have to, if you can not create any waste, even better.
Ria, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Colin.
Okay, so from a society that originally 10 years ago didn't understand the term biodegradable to 125 million units a year of tableware that can be composted in your backyard, Ecoware is clearly a story to keep watching. Thanks very much for joining us in this DIF session. I've been your host, Colin. Tune in to thinkdiff.co for lots and lots more sessions this week. And there's a whole bunch of them that you may have already missed, and you can catch up on our website. So thanks again. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.